Festus, welcome. You're early. Happy Friday. How are you doing? I'm actually pretty early myself today. Decided to take half a day off from work to focus on my projects, and we're on schedule, so it's gonna be just relaxing into the weekend. I do have to work tomorrow, also half a day, but it's quite alright. So for today, I think I'm just gonna continue work on this map, which I almost say at every stream, but it is close to completion. I think mostly some details. One thing I do have to still start from scratch is actually connecting like these parts right here. I plan to have the exit key somewhere in this location, and then you have to go back, like monster spawning in towards the actual exit here, which is I think marked by the blue key door. Double aside. I have been found guilty of that before. That is true. But I learned to hold myself back. So these can still exist. We're actually gonna remove some of these things which I don't feel are really really necessary. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this to close off these sections right here. There we go. Of course. Okay. Was thinking about maybe like alter some of the existing textures to make this like a seamless variant of this, which would remove the need to kind of split up the lines. No, it's not a huge deal. This is just like, I feel like it's like a one-time effort. Okay. think I'm just gonna keep it consistent. That's easiest. There we go. So we're gonna do that here as well. Just close off these areas. There we go. This is the correct one. It's gonna be so good to finally have episode 2 finished. Now I kinda want to change the boss fights. Like I initially wanted to have variants for Annie taken from the repository from Realm 667, that website. There are lots of real cool alternate monster designs that fitted exactly in the Doom universe. But then I thought, you know, I didn't want to stray too far from the basic concept, like it, you know, Annie is like a spider mastermind, and there is like the sprite I use. I think you altered the attacks. If you remember, Festus, the BFG attack, I think you put that in with the Aragnorp Queen. Now, I do kind of like that. But the thing is, I like the Queen. The sprite itself is different from the original Spider Mastermind. So what I want to do is kind of alter. Oh, that's easy. That could get you in or out of trouble, kind of depending on the context. But it's the safest option to say. Politicians do it all the time. So I kind of want to, you know, keep those attacks in, but I want to keep the original, let's say, face with the brains and stuff of the original Spider Mastermind. Oh really? Oh, it was, I think. Well, I know for sure you did it. Let me show you real quick. It was in H2 map 1. Hold on. I think I can actually... Let me show you real quick. Of course, I have to add monsters in. Okay, let me think. It was. So you press these 3 combinations, and then you get this art file. And I think it's still there. Yeah. Huh. That's weird. Where's the queen? Did I remove it already? I think I did. I think I removed it in this version because it was way too powerful. But there was like this floating kind of... It was based on Spider Mastermind, but without the legs. It was floating, and it had initially some other type of attack. And you modified it to have the BFG attack. But really, it doesn't matter too much. What I want to do is actually keep that BFG attack. Kind of build on some, like, keeping the base sprite for Annie. And kind of modify, like, certain abilities or attacks. Because otherwise it might stray too far from the original design. So... Like, what would be fun, perhaps, if we keep, like, the base... Well, Annie's basically, like, the Spider Mastermind in Doom 2 is... Well, it has, like, that spider type, which doesn't really make sense because the spider has 8 legs, Annie only has 4, or the Spider Mastermind only has 4. What the thing that makes a Spider Mastermind is, you know, the face, the brains, and the legs themselves. Now, what I was thinking, if you defeat Annie in the first episode, right? She kind of crawls. She can walk on the ceiling. That is the concept. Like, that was one of the special abilities I wanted to implement. I kind of have to redesign it Arena 2 because you could get underneath. So what I want is kind of to prevent the player from doing that, and therefore prevent the exploit where she can't hit you. But what I want to do for the second episode, like, maybe, like, suppose she got damaged, just change the lower part of Annie, like, keep the brains, but, like, change maybe, like, a vehicle or something, like, you know, remember from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I remember, like, you had Shredder, but there was another boss character with kind of like a brain in the stomach. I can't remember its name, but that's like kind of like the floating brain case, something like that. And I kind of want to keep the Annie brain intact, but kind of change the means of transport. You know. I think that would be like an interesting take. Because eventually Annie is just, in fact, the flesh part, whereas the legs are stomach, yeah. Oh yeah. Where the legs are actually not a original part of Annie, although kind of like, you know, the Doom 2 lore is kind of vague on that. I think they are mechanical, which some of the demons are mechanical, which doesn't really make any sense because there's no real story attached to it, like how it came to be. Like, mechanical, it would make sense if the UAC kind of experimented with, you know, demons and tried to, like, basically the story of Annie. That would make sense in a way. But that was never explained in Doom 2. Like where do these, or at least as far as I'm aware, maybe it's somewhere written in the Doom Bible. I never read it, so I couldn't tell you. But we could change that. Like, so you keep Annie as the flesh, the living part, and then just change. You know, you could have this like in Doom 3. You have where Sarge, I think it was Sarge, or some of the Sergeant Kelly. He turned into a demon itself, and he had like these tank tracks, like a tank lower part, which was pretty cool. I think they'd done it in Quake, like the Quake. Quake 2 has monsters like that as well. Like the upper part is basically, you know, alien or demon, and the lower part is mechanical. So we could kind of change, like give Annie like maybe like even you know, make her flying by changing the kind of vehicle she's in. You know, instead of the legs, you can swap it around. Yeah, and it has a trifurcation sequence, which was amazing. Absolutely loved it. Very atmospheric. But you know, that is indeed kind of like the possibilities it opens. I think that might be worth exploring. You could basically create like a floating brain if she is in between. And I'm not sure how do you call it? Like, I don't really have a word for it. Like, you know, it's basically like, well, it's a means of transport, but you're attached to it. I'm not sure what the correct word for something like that is, actually. If something like that even exists. It's like basically like, let's say like a wheelchair. Like for the cyber demon, like it makes a little more sense if Hell was, you know, had a research and development section, and the cyber demon was wounded, lost its leg, and they can replace it with the cybernetic variant. You know, for Annie or for the Spider Masterminds, it would make sense if there was like an R&D department in Hell. This actually looks nice. But from a game perspective, it's never really explained, you know? Now, I kind of want to do something with this. I think we can put this in orange. Or maybe just prevent the player from accessing this part right here. Let's see. Yeah, we can actually add a switch there. No, actually I have not. You tried it? Huh. Yeah. Does it look good? Probably. I actually wanted to. Now I finally have a new PC. I actually wanted to give Half-Life Alyx a shot, like in VR. I never, for some reason, never really got into that experience, VR. I feel like it still it hasn't broken through. You know? Or maybe I just completely missed out. Yeah. There is nothing. Although I do think there are some mods for Doom 3 as well, to play it in VR. It's kind of like, I feel like it's kind of like the Blu-ray era of, you know, it never really broke through. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. So it's not really worth it. Can you play Alyx? It's not the same experience. And it would be a shame. Okay. Yeah, that's too bad. Like, I wonder what is, like, do you know? Is there something on the horizon? Is it gonna break through? Or is it just gonna vanish into obscurity? Like the Blu-ray discs? Slowly progress. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a shame. Okay. But it might be not worth investing yet at this time, maybe? Wireless PC headset. Okay. Have you tried it actually? Have you tried Alyx? Half-Life Alyx? Oh. And was like on a scale from, let's say 1 to 10, how would you rate the experience? 11. Oh, damn. Coming from you, that means something. Jesus Christ. Okay. Then it might be time. Wow, that's Interesting. Really? So they actually they've done it. Because I read somewhere, and you know, for I could believe it at some point almost that they postponed Half-Life 3 because they were afraid it couldn't live up to the previous games in terms of, you know, both technological as artistic. Peak VR. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Okay, so they did. It's actually true. But then how, like, it's a shame I'm one of those Half-Life 3 believers that it will eventually come out, but if they wait for, you know, for a giant leap as they did from Half-Life 1 to Half-Life 2, well, I think VR would have been what they did with Alex. Okay. Well, you know, pretty skeptical of that because there are a lot of games and movies and they all hint at a sequel and it never comes. So it's just like I kind of have that, we'll see. But I did read a rumor that it was in development. Okay. We'll see. Exciting times. Hey, Poundcake. Ricochet 2. Oh man. I did play Ricochet. No, it doesn't make sense. Ricochet 2, Jesus Christ, yeah. Let's keep this Doom 2 texture for now. Oh. Okay, so I might have to look into... That's awfully dangerous. Well, I guess I have to, you know, since I'm a huge Half-Life fan, I might have to get Alex as well. And the whole VR thing kind of slipped by. Well, probably because my PC at the time probably couldn't handle it. But now there's actually no reason to not, you know, enjoy the experience, I guess. I think we can actually do something with this. So let's use this one. It's weird. Oh, wait, okay. There we go. I'm still waiting for, and there's no reason they can't do that. Why didn't they finish episode 3 actually? Because it was, I think that was the idea, no? Ah, okay. Okay. Well. There we go, it's a little bit randomized. You know, it's... Well, if you gotten to that status where everybody expects it to be a new masterpiece, I can imagine it must be stressful. Like if you feel you've already kind of made, like, pushed it to the absolute limits at the time, it must be stressful to kind of, you know, to be afraid to disappoint your very loyal fan base, afraid to take risks. And there is a huge Half-Life fan base. And, you know, it is true that, like, the leap from Half-Life 1, or from, I'd even say before Half-Life 1, I think Half-Life 1 was phenomenal, you know, in every department, like technologically, artistically, like story-wise, you know, it was, I still prefer Half-Life 1 over 2, but that's just me. I think many people prefer the second one. I feel like the second one strayed like a little too far away from the first one. Like it's almost like just vaguely connected. I feel like Gordon should have woken up. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Gordon should have woken up by the G-Man into a world basically under most of Zen control instead of a new race. The Combine were too humanoid, you know. I kind of miss the I kind of missed Zen in Half-Life 2. I guess story-wise, you know, it would make sense because like most of Zen was defeated. But yeah, I have played Black Mesa. Good stuff. Only like the only criticism I have with that is that the marine fights are not fun. They're too precise, too accurate. It's I really enjoyed playing up to the point where you face the Marines, and then it was like I died so many times. I feel like it wasn't a fair fight. They're way too tough. It's a huge leap in difficulty. But otherwise, you know, visually it's a masterpiece. It's beautiful. Let's see what I should do probably instead of this one. Instead of these lights, these are actually doors. I should probably use this one. How cool would that be if I... That is actually pretty awesome. I have to... Hold on. Surfaces, can we actually texture scale X1? There we go. Could do the same. Wait a minute. There. Perfect. Okay, so let's just use red. And we can actually do it for the floor as well. And oh, doesn't really matter, I think. Let's That's actually nice. Okay. And we can just use one big light here. Oh. Should probably cut down on the dynamic lights here. Do it differently. Put it in the center. See if we can actually... No, it has this glow which I cannot reproduce. Can give it that yellow glow. It's not the same. But I feel I think I'm gonna remove these because so many dynamic lights. I mean, I don't notice it on my PC, but if you're having older PCs, it might be a little bit over the top. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna up the brightness on these lights here. And then just add just a little bit of glow. Shit. What I can do is, let's see. Do we have, oh wait, I do have them here. What is the 255? Okay. Okay. If I distribute this evenly, you kind of get the probably tone it down. gonna get that nice soft yellowish undertone. See, maybe we can just use one, expand this a little bit. We don't even need this glow part right here. It doesn't have to be evenly spread out. Doesn't have to be perfect. That gives a whole... Might be too much. Let's check it out, because we do have the green. I could use like a yellowish fog, but it would kind of stop abruptly here. I do kind of like, it feels like a little bit as if there was like a little bit of mist in here, which actually, oh, it doesn't look too bad overall, I would say. And we seriously cut down on the dynamic lights, that's for sure. There. And this one should probably get the same treatment. I think we can get away with that here. Especially because it... There we go, that kind of... Oh, there we go. You can choose just 2 instead of 40. No. I think put them closer together. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Kind of get a little bit of reflection on the floor there. Which would make sense because it's of course closer to the ceiling. I was looking to try out the new texture manipulation that I learned of, but I can't really find anything to actually use it for. Well, I think it's just faster if we do it like this. Yeah, that's way faster. And probably place this a little higher. Okay. Position 40. There you go. Okay. It's not perfect, but that's okay. What to do with this? This is thanks to Europe. Greatest invention to mankind. See if we can actually copy paste everything here. There we go. Oh. There we go. Okay. Oh shit. Did I really now? Was that really necessary? At least we are off to a good start. Very strange here. Okay, let's not bother too much with that. What I kind of want to do with this is there was this room in Doom 3. In Doom 2 map 9, the pit, which had that interesting circle with some platforms lowering. Kind of want something fun here to kind of toy around with that. Just a second. Hey Maxi Doomer, what is up? Welcome. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's UDMF format indeed. Indeed. That's weird. I see, okay, never mind. But why is this area pitch black, but it was because of the ceiling? Yeah, okay. Too complicated? Well, it makes certain things a lot easier. Like texture manipulation. Like things you have to, I had to script before, like scale, texture scale. It's now super easy. And you had to do it like, you couldn't see it in the 3D editor, I believe. So it was kind of like a little bit of guesswork now and then, if I remember correctly. Maybe you could see it after it was scripted, I can't remember. But I don't know, I like this UDMF way better. But it kind of depends on what you're used to, I guess. Let's see, what can we do with this? We used for the other part. See. Maybe we can use a different one. Is there a different color? I wonder. Maybe we can make a little, like a rusty variant, maybe. see, 1, 1. Okay. I do want the general aesthetic to be the same as the other sector. Kind of like, you know, with the metal here. Just a little bit of difference in color and general tone, I think. Maybe we could create like how about we make a demonic, like a demonic variant of this. The other one is more, let's say, well, I wouldn't say technical exactly, but a little less demonic. We could create like yeah, like a demonic temple like structure. Might be interesting. This is a huge texture, Jesus Christ, man. Let's see. It's actually nice. Some Doom 3 textures, for the life of me, I can't visualize where they were used exactly in Doom 3. Though I have played it a few times actually. Let's actually now we have texture, a different form of texture manipulation here. I think that is actually, oh, let's stick to this. Let's see. What is a good texture with a trim at the bottom? Let's see if we can find something in here. This one perhaps. Oh, that is huge. Looked a little less impressive from afar, but it's a huge texture. Let's see. Let's first actually reset the ceiling slope. I'm gonna do it like this and then like that. Normally this should okay, let's see, let's try it. So we got custom fields. This is something skewing, texture skewing, which I only recently find out about. Depending on the texture, this can give really good results. It's not the right texture for this. The ideal textures for something like this would be something with only like one trim at the top, or at the bottom for that matter. Like this, for example, it has one trim. This is too large, as you can see. That should be a large texture. So let's say 128 at least. What you can do is use one of these. As you can see, kinda something like this, for example, but I think this is too, yeah, it repeats itself. But you know, you get the idea. Like, I think 128 would be a good fit. This is, obviously it has one trim in the middle as well. It's not something we want. So we need a height of 128. Preferably just a trim at the bottom, which is not easy. And from there, it kind of has to be seamless. No trims at the top. So like this, something like this is not suited. This could be. It's a good candidate for, but it's not the appropriate texture, unfortunately. On the Doom 3 texture pack, unfortunately, there is not too much choice when it comes to what I kind of need for this. Stick with the demonic. It's fairly limited, especially in the more demonic texture set. This one is also a good contender. Like, you get the idea. Like a trim at the bottom and then kind of seamless. This one would be, well, the trim is too high, but you know, you get the idea. Something like this could work, but only if the ceiling is also, like the ceiling is straight here. If the ceiling is also sloped, like in the same, with the same angle, you could have something like this and it would match perfectly. This one actually is very good for a window. Window texture, Jesus Christ. Okay, gotta remember that one. Oh well, I'm already through all the textures. well. I could do something like this. That's kind of... I think I have to look in this direction. But then just use the trim at the bottom here. I think this... might be the best choice. Then again, I wonder what the actual purpose of this is. So I would have to do something with this. So we're gonna create an inset. Single steps 8. No. What I could do here, and that is what makes it interesting. If I use certain lights. Now, hold on. Let me actually... We can use texture skewing on this one. And... that would create an interesting... let's see. What can I use here? What are the lights we're going for? 16, so we got 16. That's what makes this, you know. Hey, Demon, what is up, buddy? Good to see you. Welcome. How are you doing? Now, see, like, I can actually just split these, and that would mean I can just continue. Oh god, that's bad. Is that... it's not even split in the middle. Oh, they are in the middle. That's weird. Is it... this one looks... is it me or does this look like a lot larger? maybe splitting is not a great idea. I can't help but get the feeling that it looks... So we're just gonna base... Well, it's a miracle that it actually matches up. But you can see, like, texture skewing is a great new feature, and somehow this looks like smaller on this side. And maybe it's just my eyes deceiving me, I don't know. Texture skewing actually works nicely here. Just okay. It's probably more effort than it's worth, but and I have actually no idea what to put into that. Something like that. Just add an attenuated light just to kind of draw attention to the player. Just a little bit. Way down there. Kind of like it. Gives that a little bit of ominous vibe. Let's see. Yeah, that's not bad actually. What I do want is to kind of have these red tones from outside, kind of keep it closer. But it kind of works, yeah. Now the only question, enter from here. What I kind of want to do is create like a small maze. Oh. Oh, wait a minute. The tag needs to be removed. It's 3D. There you go. I'm not really sure what to do with this outer part. like these stones. They are pretty difficult to align. Let's see, can we get away with that? 3. Maybe. We can actually use 0.5 here. Kind of manipulate it like that. Normally it shouldn't be too much of a deal. Okay, there we go. So it kind of... I'm really glad like you have the option to go under 1. For some textures, like especially like this one, which is actually just one texture. But if you divide it in 2 and like scale 0.5, and you can actually split it right in the middle and you only got one side of the bricks. Works for this one as well, for all these. These stones as well, which is actually pretty cool. Very fun. You can use like only like a specific part, and it's super easy without too much texture manipulation. For these bricks to work, I kind of want to align it like that. So we're gonna put 0.5 in there as well, and kind of like, even if the bricks aren't really sized like the exact same size, I still feel like it works. What I want to do is actually create some sort of a maze, but open it up as well. To think about it. Maybe. Like I want a player to like explore the structure inside, and once you reach like a switch, this whole structure drops. I think we... Okay. Oh shit. There we go. Okay, so let's try this one opens up 64. Oh, because it's because of the 3D floor, I understand, yeah. Okay, let's first, before we continue with this, let's first see if we can actually jump in. Now, in the original Doom 2, this whole tube thing was actually was it really a necessary part of the level? I think it was to grab a weapon or a power-up or something. We could actually play around with this, like a sort of like a mindfuck by using sector portals and just transporting into a different area where you kind of drop down into like a small arena or something. And then you kind of go back and you end up here again. Like a fun detour. Let's see what texture we can use here. Maybe. So the 0.5. This 2, so let's see if we can actually, so we need to use texture manipulation here as well. Skewing textures, middle texture, other side sector. Whew. Ceiling or floor, I don't think it really matters. It does matter. Nothing seems to work. This side. Ah. This side, other side, I have no idea. Let's see if we can actually... Yep, I think this might work. And for the floor, actually I want to, there is a very nice floor texture here in this area. Let's see, there. Really like this one. But it's huge, as you can see, because you kind of have to determine the scale. There are actually 4, so it has to be this size. And we got a very nice, let's see, 4. There we go. Okay, let's do that. Let's first wrap this up. Ceiling. So we do the same thing for this one. Okay. And what we can do with this. For a switch. Do we have anything that would fit in here? Maybe this one? God. You know, what I should have done, what I still can do actually, is create patches, texture patches. I can place this exact switch on a texture like this, for example, just by altering a text file. It's a little bit tedious, but I still feel like I should do it. It's just we have to look up some it's a little bit of work. There's a little bit of work involved. It's worth considering. It's well, what I really like is that actually the textures kind of remain the same. It's just the floors and the ceiling. So that's absolutely great news. And it saves me a lot of trouble. Okay, so for that we can find something else. But actually what I wanted to do oh wait, what we can do actually here is there another one, or are these just the two? I see. These are. Oh wait. Yeah, maybe this one. I think. Yeah. Yeah, we can actually. So we got like a temple here. And the thing is, can we make this like... Can we make this like a double secret? Maybe with the stripes it looks better this way. It is like you got like a carving here as well. Yeah, I think that's okay. That's actually good. Okay. So what I wanna do here is try to make a hidden switch. Although I'm afraid it's not gonna be that hidden. Too bad that's not in the same color, because I feel like it would have fit in here. This one is actually pretty cool, though it doesn't have a trim. I'm afraid most of these shapes are rounded off. Let's see. Can we do something with this? Kind of like let's see if we can. Oh. Yeah. The only thing is it doesn't change like color or shape, or so it cannot really be used as a switch, only as a door, but that's something I don't want in this case. Or maybe What I can do is add. Can I actually add a secret somewhere else? Can I add a secret? Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place ammo here. Maybe not big boxes. And I kind of want to hold on just a second. I have to check something out real quick. Got an idea which might make things a little interesting. Monsters, demon. That's what I thought. That is what I thought. Now, it's a little too short. Oh, it's an, I changed the wrong one. Okay. Let me... The only thing is it doesn't really align, and I don't like that. Hey Market, what is up, buddy? Welcome. Bump noggin, yeah. I should have probably tested it out first. I might... On the 128 could work. Could work, I guess, if I I can actually make it like create a sector out of this. It's easy actually, like that. And then do there and there. There we go. So we could do it like this. You know, that is an option. Something we will explore, and then I can actually... Where did I do it actually? Let's see, oh here. So we can actually... There we go. And then it shouldn't be a problem. For a little pinky here. Oh, there he is already. To come attack me. So what I'm gonna do is kinda want to place a secret in there. And then have 4 demons spawn in. And, you know, just kind of close you in the middle. Might be a good weapon for the PFG. Not really sure. It's not a big secret, actually. Maybe like a Berserk pack. It's just like a fun detour, or I can actually like close it off like this and just make this a secret, right? That's something for later. I'm going to take a very small break, and then we're going to continue with Heretic. So I'll see you guys soon. let's jump back in. Just a second. All right. We're also pretty close to completion on this map as well. This time I mean it. There's geometry-wise, aside from sector portals, not much that needs to be added. I think we were working on this, and this is where we actually discovered the wonderful wonderful art of texture skewing. And we can place a statue on here, and there's a difference between decoration obstacles. Son of a bitch. Well, it's a busy day today. A small pillar. Kinda like that. I'm not really sure if it's gonna hold. Oh shit, I totally forgot I had monsters enabled. These monsters are still these monsters are still there from the original map. It is kind of weird. However, can't really see it at that level. So what I'm gonna do was the correct height? I think that was 16. And we're gonna do the same thing here, but then the opposite direction. It's a different shape, something else than what we're used to. Oh god, why? What is that actually? Why is that? What is going on here? Why is there... Where are there two vertices? That's weird. Okay. Then we're gonna have to do it for these parts at least a little cleaner. Now I have never understood how do you solve this? Now what I wonder is there has to be a way, because these are joined, obviously. What if we do it like this for just a second and disrupt that process of joint vertex manipulation? This should probably... yeah. That's how we fix that. It's a bit of it's a bit tedious. To say the least. However, this will definitely fix our problem. Can't go wrong with triangulation. And for this we can, because it's a straight line, the other ones are probably a little distorted. Oh, we can hang something from here. How cool is that? I love the texture skewing kind of remains the same. That's pretty cool. Okay, so now that this issue is solved, we can safely remove these again. Yeah, why is this still? There is probably a way to deal with that. Probably. We're gonna skew the shit out of this one. Okay, and I guess this is the upper one. Yeah. No, wait. Is that correct? Yeah, that is correct. Actually, that's how it's supposed to be. Kind of weird how it all operates. And that this one is actually... Jeez, thank God it was attached. Okay, we might have to find something else for this. It's not large enough. How about for this one? I don't use skewing. No. Because it is at the top. Oh, son of a bitch. I have to be very careful when using texture manipulation here. I have to do it manually, yeah. But it's still, nonetheless, it's a wonderful feature. We can, since they are all properly aligned, we can actually do it all at once. There we go. Same here. I have no idea what causes this. Okay. Jesus Christ. Cannot use texture manipulation again. What I'm probably gonna do is actually remove the, like it's gonna be a little too much. I'm gonna hang stuff from here, and what I first was thinking about hanging carcasses and stuff like that, but I might just stick to lights. If there is something else besides chandeliers, damn it. There's not. That is a shame. I thought we had some very nice hanging lights. HBAC special effects, user defined. Creeper. That is too bad. Felt like this could have benefited from some nice lights. Bell. That is too bad. I'm kind of disappointed by the lack of hanging lights. Well, maybe it looks better from a distance. I don't know. Let's give it a shot. Yeah. Maybe. I like it. One thing I do feel like this could benefit from is some other decoration. And we do have this. Do we have something? Well, we could. Okay. That's weird. I did put him on both sides. Front and back. Middle scale 1. Okay, that is better. There we go. It's not much, but I think it will kind of break it up just a little bit. Yeah, see, that looks, I think it looks better. No, the shearing or the texture skewing. Well, you can see a little. If you're standing here, you can enjoy the texture skewing somewhat. Mostly gets distracted because of the gate or the spike texture here. But I kind of like it. It's kind of like, it's a nice transition between this texture and the darker one. Now what I can even do is actually, let's see how it looks if I remove the lower part here and just put it directly at ground level, like that. Maybe it's even more enjoyable, this texture skewing. Let's start here. I think that makes... yeah. I think it's working nicely. It does look like a huge support. Well, I say let's roll with that. What is even another option? Is I just lower these down. Can we do that? Nah. It's kind of okay. Let's just try. We can always remove it. What if I delete these? Would have to be a texture. Damn it. Okay. I think it's worth a shot. to actually see this. Or to test out how it looks. I think that if we I do kind of like it, man. I like it. Now, the only thing that I would want to change is into this, perhaps. Oh, it's kind of like a weird combination, but there is some gold here and black in this pillar as well, so maybe it ties in well. We'll have to see. Got a different idea. Actually top it off. It's kind of weird that some like like how they kind of reset differently. Okay, let's first get this in order here. And what we can do, well actually what I wanted to do was well, might be too crazy to go for that. Let's just keep it here. That's for easier selection. And that really is not a big of a deal. Okay. So visually what you get this little tower really has taken a lot of effort. However, I think it might be worth it. So what we have now is actually got a nice trim on top. As you can see, it's kind of cut off. But I might want to, although that is actually a very nice transition here. It's by accident, but look at that. Look at these colors mix. That is really nice. Okay, so we're definitely gonna go with that. It doesn't get better than that, I think. When I design a map, do I use meth? Calculation? What is that? I don't even know what that is. You mean, do I calculate something, or? Actually, I do like that building. And what we can do here is we can actually add floating candles, wall torch magic, wall torch, I think hexen. I do, yeah. Now, do you mean specifically like for texturing? Because I generally try to stick to increments of 8 unless they're like insets. And sometimes it kind of depends on the texture, how it scales. Like for this, for example, I use a non-standard floor height. I generally try to... Initially I try to see what kind of looks right. Like some structures, like I feel like this is a good height for this structure. As you can see, it's kind of hard to explain how I just tend to look at it, and if it feels right, I go with it. But initially, like, it kind of depends. Like, if you're when you're switching to different engines or different games you map for, sometimes it's hard to adjust to like the new scale, especially for 3D engines like Quake. I find it kind of like I need to build test rooms first. For Doom, I have a good understanding, like player movement, you know. So I've been mapping for Doom for a long time, but when I was making maps for Quake and Unreal, for example, it was kind of hard. Like, I think my map for Unreal, in certain areas, the scale might be a little too big. It's not easy to maintain that, you know. it's, you know, it's but I think it's mostly like an architectural style thing, if that makes sense. Like for some things you can really let's see if I can actually give an example. Like for this, you know, I kind of wanted to visually it's interesting to don't put your ceilings all at the same height, because it's visually not that appealing. So you kind of want to break that up, like this for example, that you got a more closed-in cave and it feels a little narrower. Than here you can actually, like, I go from small to big, like you stepping out into an open world, so it feels, the structures should feel imposing. And here you go back to like in a cave area, rocky area, where you can actually see go down in height. Here, for example, you got this kind of like tomb-like structure, which is a little more confined, a little more oppressive. And if you go here, I kind of go open again, because it's not really a tomb. This is just, it's actually just a secret area. And this is like a throne room, so this should be more imposing, higher ceilings. But it's, I don't know, it's not like I calculate everything. I just take a look and see how the textures are applied to the walls, and see, like, for example, you could basically change the scale of the textures, so you could actually make them fit into any height, any room height you desire. But for your example, I chose, because it repeats itself, I chose to repeat itself twice, so it doesn't get cut off. So this height is actually 2A8. And I kind of try to look, so like with these stones, so the door entrance is like a nice, doesn't get cut off. The stones in the middle. So it kind of goes through, as you can see. There's like whole bricks, instead of like if you use it like this, you know, you could, I don't like that. But now I see I actually have to scale my door. There we go. But that's just an example, you know? So it's not like I follow like a strict playbook or guidelines. I just do what feels right. But sometimes I do make calculations. But I think most of them are based on especially like I try to calculate like with sector portals, for example, because this section needs to be connected to the upper part of this, as you can see. So here I try to manipulate, but you can also do it by manipulating the textures. But I usually tend to go, well, first of all, it feels right, but then, you know, if I want to keep it like increments of, let's say 8. I go, usually my basic room is 128. If I want a room with a large ceiling, I usually go double that, 256. Or if I want something in between, I used 192. Mostly. Because most of the textures are kind of like 64. They're kind of, you work really well if used in increments of 64. Some of them 32, kind of depends on the texture. But most of them are just standard 128. So that's a huge thing to keep into account, especially if you're mapping for vanilla Doom. Although the original authors of Doom didn't really take that into account too much. You know, you got these sometimes weird texture cutoffs, which I guess is fine, because it's not something, unless it's very obviously present, it's not something that immediately draws the player's attention, you know? But it's just something, like, for me personally, guess it's a type of OCD, I don't know. Like here, for example, this texture doesn't really, this is not a natural alignment for this texture, but what I did, I kind of chose to put it like this because this is not like repeating properly, but I did it for one reason. That's because this texture has, as you can see, a very dark portion of it, which I think comes back here as well. So what I did is actually I kind of manipulated it so it kind of works well with the floor here. So it's like a dirty trim kind of, you know. But that's more texture manipulation. But you have to keep into account like the height here as well, because you don't want it to be cut off. Let's say like this, for example, looks a little bit unnatural, especially on lava. It would work well with any other floor, but not on lava. I tend to make sure that, you know, the lava kind of... There is something beneath the lava as well, obviously. There has to be like a floor. In theory, of course. See, like... That is some... Like, these are the things I try to take into account. That's basically it. Okay, so we're good with that tower, finally. And I think... Can we actually... What I used in the other maps... Better idea. This works way faster. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is use this one. Worked really well. Lower scale, I think. Middle. I have to flip it. And then lower unpegged. Ah, son of a bitch. Ah, son of a bitch. Fucking line devs. Unfortunately, there's no undo button for the selection. Like, if you accidentally release them. I have no idea why there should be upper unpegged here. When player walks over. I guess there's a remainder of, like, I copy pasted it. What I do here is basically... Oh, that's actually looking great. Okay. Creating like a... You'll see in a minute. There you go. So this eliminates the need for extensive rock work here. Like, you can actually I do have to do it for a couple of things here, obviously, but most of it works really well. It's a nice replacement. So normally I try to make geometry that kind of, you know, is a little bit like, to give it more like a rocky. But the only downside is in GZ Doom is that this is straight. The end here is completely straight, and then you have to go with the slope, and the transition between that is kind of weird. It's unnatural. You can see it in I tried to make it look as natural as possible, but it's not a full 3D engine, so you could technically work with 3D models, I guess, and kind of extend that, and then slowly. But still, it's tedious and not worth the effort. So I just think, you know, why not go with this? It's good enough. Of course, we can actually remove it on certain parts. Here, for example. And I think this one as well. We're gonna have to do something different here, but that's alright. And then there is another one. We can actually see it. So this one. Come through here. Yeah. These. Can remove it here as well. There we go. What we can do with this. Now the only thing I have to know, and this is where certain calculations could come in handy, but even then it's not really necessary. So this is something you kind of have to see. I'm gonna mess with that. Now, by doing this, actually kind of somewhat manipulate the vertices. to make it a little more natural. But of course it does remain remains a bit strange anyway, but as you can see, like, you know what I mean with the this is actually clear, as you can see, like textures, they don't align well, but there's a trick, there's a nice trick to make sure they're aligned. Now I'm gonna show you, it's actually pretty easy. What we can do here is if we change the texture into something, it should be easy. It should be an easy texture. Let's see, maybe this one. Okay, so we have that one. Now, go back here, and we actually, here you can see, so we ended, I think we ended with that one. That's at the top. So what is next? It's actually simple. We have to go, so this is the end of the texture. So what we need to do here, this is the end. It needs to repeat itself again. I think this is correct. Or is it? Hold on. That is top. I think let me quickly have a peek. Can sometimes, it's not correct. Hold on. What is? Yeah, it is actually. It is. Okay. So what we can do here, we use one, and then what I do is kind of bring it down. And then from here, from this texture, I align the rest. Now, in order to not mess it up, we can actually remove this. There we go. And this remains the same. So what we need to do now is actually use this texture, and the rest is already aligned. And normally, if we let's see, now this should be, and I say should be aligned properly. And as you can see, there we go. So that works. Now it's seamless from top to bottom. And what we can do here, of course, is kind of make it natural as well, a little bit more natural. And I think we're gonna create a little bit of there as well. Let's see, so we're gonna kind of want to make sure, hold on just a second, fellas. like I said, it's a busy day. But we're pretty close to actually wrapping this up for today. Let's see. Let's just use that as a base. And we can actually manipulate. That's not really. There we go. So you never get to see the other side, so that's not a huge deal. There we go. We got a little bit of a more natural flow. Let's have a quick look. And you don't have to do like, you don't have to put too much. Like, as you can see, it looks way better. You don't have to put too much detail into it, especially since it's far off. So it looks way more natural. You know, like it's the only thing I have to do is actually kind of create that. What you can do is actually create these corners here, use the same texture. So it's like, and then maybe with a little bit of sloping here, some vertex manipulation as well. You can actually create something nice here. But like I said, there, as you can see, there's a little bit of, well, I'm probably going to do that as well. Because I actually haven't didn't use that here. Let's see this one a little bit up. Okay, so that's that. One more shot, one last look, and then I think we're good for today. Yeah, that issue is out of the way. That's all good. Now we can actually bump it up a little bit from behind here, but you know, you don't really get a full sight of it anyway. So that was the same thing we're going to do here for this rock structure. And that's it for sector portals for this. I think it's one of the last sector portals we had to make. I think it's the last one. Oh, no it's not, damn it. But here again we can actually we can do, I have an idea for this one, which actually will help me save a lot of time. Let's quickly close off. Okay. There we go. I think wireframe. What is that? Okay. So this one can go. This one. Okay, so I think view ceiling textures. I think it's probably best if I go a little rough around the edges here. Hey, Pinchy. What's up, buddy? Ah, you have a do map still, yeah. I kind of have to fine tune this. But it's just a reminder. So as you can see, this will eliminate a huge amount of work on sector portals. And if we can find a good inset for this, or a good trim, then we're good. Like I said, it just needs a little bit of fine tuning. Gotta make it a little more natural in certain places, and others it's not a big deal. There we go, something like that. It's, we can work things out. There we go. So we do have a sky, but it's a lot easier. I only have to focus on one sector here. That is that one. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it here at this, fellas. Thank you so much for joining. I'll be back next week with another Doom 2 Annie and HBAC session. I hope you have a great weekend. Should I have time during the weekend, I could go online, do another extra stream, but I'm not really sure. Kind of depends. I do have to work tomorrow, so it will depend on a multitude of factors. But anyway, have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.